You curled for the first time
Yes.
today. How was
Not
that?
today. Not today on Monday,
Oh,
but
right. It
this is
was
the
on
first time
Monday.
talking about it. This is the
First time talking about it.
post-game breakdown.
Yeah.
So we always discuss on this podcast being growth-minded and having a learning mindset and a growing mindset. And I actually love, one of my favorite things is, especially when it's something physical like a sport or a game, but could apply to anything, a new card game or just anything that you suck at first. You're just complete novice. You've never done it before. And you're like, how do I do it? What do I do? Where do I go? How do I hold it? What is it? All that stuff. And then just the process of learning something and being that humble beginner. But then I also challenge myself and I'm like, okay, like I got to be like I treat myself like if I was the Terminator and I just got it like I'm this learning machine and I got to learn this and see how good I can get it at it in a short amount of time. So I went curling. I got invited. Jared, an actor who acts with us in dinner theater shows with Big Time Entertainment. Shout out Jared. Shout out Big Time. Shout out Peter Dillon from Big Time. And Chris George. I have Chris George, our actor, friend extraordinaire, actor, stage manager, does a little bit of it all. Performer, podcaster, gamer. What did you say? YouTuber, yeah. Chris George. He's away doing a Christmas show. Where is he? It's
in like
out
north
east
of Ottawa or something.
Oh, north. Okay. So he's away. So I got the call. They're like, we got a free spot on the curling team down at the Royal Canadian Curling Club. It felt like an episode of The Crown where I was walking into this royal place where everyone's wearing, nobody was wearing special anything, but it's like it was this. So it was an afternoon league. I've never curled before. I felt really goofy and silly. I slipped and fell a couple times on the ice. You put a slider. Do you want to learn how? Have you done it before?
No.
So
teach me.
So it's basically like shuffleboard, or it's a little bit of vibe of bocce ball. There's like the circles, concentric circles into the bullseye, which I think is called the button. And then there's two ends. And so everyone on the team takes turns curling two rocks. And then there's usually there's two guys sweeping. If you're shorthanded, you might only have one guy. Sometimes the guy who releases the rock and is curling then gets up and scrambles down and then sweeps his own rock if needed. But in our case, one guy would curl, two guys would sweep, and then the skip is on the far side, and he's kind of the captain where he yells out what to do. Like if it's going really fast, then it's like don't touch it. Basically, sweeping makes it curl less and slow down slower, or not slow down.
Okay.
Or go further, I guess is what you'd say, because it's ice. It's a sheet of ice. This I did not know. You're going to get a little tutorial here. Yep. A curling sheet it's ice, like it's refrigerated ice, but then a guy goes with this little device, like almost like a garden, like what you'd spray like pesticides or insecticides or like liquid out of, and he kind of sprays it, and it makes like sort of mottled like dots, little tiny bumps, and then so when you're sweeping, you're filing those down so that the rock, I think, grips a little less and goes a little further, because you're sort of also heating up the ice right in front of it, so it slides a little faster. So that's what the guys do, and just as you release it, you kind of do a little one of these, so it slow, and then the slower it goes, the more it curls too. So it's really fun. And my first, here's my thing, my very first end, I think it was the second rock that I threw ended up right in the button. It was the center one. It was the one that scored. So what I'm saying, Brandon, is I'm a curling phenom. I've been signed by the Royal Mounted Police Curling Association, and I go on tour next week with the World Championships. World Championship Bonspiel is next week. I'm already being I'm touted as the rookie of the year for this year. There's Roy talk for me right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was humbling. It was very humbling, because no matter what level of athleticism and fitness you think you are, as soon as you're sliding on an ice, on ice, you kind of feel silly. So I did fall a couple times. It felt very like when the first time you go out with the slider on, but most times you're not on the slider. Usually you're just on your shoes, and it's kind of grippy. Like it's not all like crazy slippery.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, I am for sure going to pull a groin muscle. I was in my head, I'm like, just don't, if you don't pull a groin muscle today, this is a victory. If you get out of this without a groin injury or some kind of hernia or like a pulled hamstring, that was a victory. And I'm looking around and there's guys older than me, and I'm like, just don't pull a groin muscle. And I didn't. And we were winning the whole time. And then they came back and scored 3 points in the final end to tie us. So it was a draw. It was a gentleman's draw. I got to learn how to do it. I got better. It's very I don't know if it's difficult. It's the margin for error is very small because it's all touch. It's like you push off with your back leg and then you slide kind of on one knee and then you just release it. You don't really put too much with your arm. It's kind of like you just rock out and then slide. And the difference between not getting past the line, which if you don't get past a certain line, they just clear your thing out of there, like it's like a disqualified shot, or you go through the circles and out the back, and the difference between it. So when you watch guys, now that I've done it, to watch guys where not only are they nailing the distance within like inches, but they're also curling it like around other rocks, and then it just kind of settles in on the button, or they do like these double takeout shots where I'm gonna hit this one and this one, and it's a lot of guys yelling too. They yell. This is one of the favorite parts. Is our team, we weren't really big yellers because it's like a fairly non-competitive men's league. It's kind of a for fun afternoon league, but there was a couple of the Irish guys on the Irish team especially were like, hide, like they're giving it the full hurry, whoa, no, leave it. They get into it. And when you're sweeping just like furiously, which is also a weird when you do it the first few times, apparently you're sore in places that you didn't expect to have, because who is like, oh, this is I pulled my sweeping muscle. Like it's such a weird, the only training. So now I'm training here at the studio. I've purchased a Swiffer wet jet, and I'm just furiously swiffing the floor while yelling at myself, hurry hard, hurry, whoa, hurry hard. I dig in the corners. That was great.
Luna must be loving that.
Yeah, she's loving it. She likes it. Yeah, she's actually she's the skip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. She is the boss.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you're going to bring that you've learned from this first time that you're going to bring to your next match?
I mean, I think in general, I just have I got my ice legs. I got my curling legs. So I think that's a big part of it. And when I first started, I was kind of like walking around, when you're like, I don't know if you've ever, it's almost like the more scared you do something, the shittier you are at it. Like if you walked on ice, like you walk around, I hope I don't slip, versus no, just stand like a confident human being and have my center of gravity and don't flail around. That, and a little bit of touch too, I think, like just knowing the weight. I was pretty good with accuracy. I wasn't really trying to curl it too much in my head. I was just like, get it around the area, like put a rock where it means something, so that it's a point or it's doing something useful, I guess.
It's funny what the difference confidence can make, and it can fix a lot of things if you just like change your mindset and like just focus on like the little things, and like it will improve so much.
Right. Yeah, I guess in that vein, what I do is, and maybe it's where that Star Wars music comes from, is I'm having like the Force. I'm like being the rock, and I was mind controlling it. I was spinning it. People were like, "Oh, I've never seen a rock do that before." And slightly hovering. When Luke goes to Dagobah and he's levitating all the rocks around him, just focusing real hard. That was me. Yeah.
Nice. That's you curling. I like it.
Me curling. Yeah. It shouldn't be. I shouldn't actually be allowed. I didn't realize I had those powers until I started to play. But technically, everyone's like, "Wow, how's he so good for his first time?" It's mind control, telekinesis, the Force, whatever you want to call it. I'm a Danish druid.